Good morning, it's day one of ortho. I'm just getting to the hospital and I think we're gonna start rounds pretty soon. Okay, I have 3 minutes to find my team. So what exactly is orthopedic surgery? Orthopedics is the surgical subspecialty that is concerned with bones and everything to do with bones, including muscles, tendons, ligaments, and joints. In terms of being a medical student on orthopedics, there's 4 main places that you can find me in the hospital. 1 is rounding on the patients on the ward, 2nd is in the operating room, 3rd is in the cast clinic, and then the last place you can find me is in the emergency room. There was some fresh snow today and everybody's slipping and falling and breaking their bones, so ortho has been very busy. So I'm currently on my 4th consult of the day. So a consult is when one medical specialty asks for the opinion of another medical specialty. Once orthopedics has been consulted, usually the orthopedic surgeon on call will get in touch with the medical student on call, in this case it was me, and they'll tell you to go see the patient, do a full history and physical. So on orthopedics, we do what is called home call, which basically means when we're on call, we get to be at home and the hospital just calls us if they have problems. So I'm heading home for dinner. Common procedures that I have seen while on orthopedic surgery include hip replacements, knee replacements, and a lot of open reduction and fixation, which is basically where you cut someone open who has a fracture and then you reduce the deformity and then you put plates and screws so that the fracture can heal. So this is the cast clinic where we see ortho patients. Some of them stay here to have their cast sawed off, or we assess them in these beds and just do physical exams and histories. This is the saw for taking off the cast. It's quite loud and kind of intimidating. So the main things I've been doing in cast clinic is consults, so that's where you get to know the patient, get a full history and physical, as well as doing follow-up and taking off cast. Today is our academic half day, so I'm just logging into Zoom to listen to some surgery lectures. So I'm currently reviewing some fractures because we have Ortho Rounds today where we apparently get put on the spot to try and describe fractures. Okay, so I'm back home from Ortho Rounds. It was actually pretty fun, a little intimidating. I did have a little bit of nervous sweat going on. Basically what happens is there's 3 or 4 orthopedic surgeons and then there's a computer. They pull up x-rays, they point to the med student and they're like, "What do you think of this x-ray?" And then after the med student is done fumbling and like trying to interpret this x-ray, they move on to the resident and they're like, "What do you think?" And then once all the learners have kind of taken a stab at the x-ray, they do some teaching about what you're actually looking at and then how you would sort of treat that. Okay, hi, it's me from the future. I have since finished orthopedics and I got like my end of rotation assessment. One of the comments was, "Great job at rounds describing x-rays," which was a little surprising, but I thought I would share some tips in case you're in a similar situation and then you can look like you know what you're talking about. So the first thing you can do is comment on what you're looking at. This sounds super obvious, but I think especially for med students, it's easy to get caught up and like jump straight to the obvious deformity and kind of forget the whole patient picture. A great thing about commenting on like patient identification, x-ray, and the bone is it buys you a little more time to like look at the x-ray more and figure out like what the actual pathology is. But for example, you could say like, "This is an x-ray of a 19-year-old male and it is an AP view of the distal femur." And that gives a lot of information already because how you're going to manage a 19-year-old male with a fracture is going to be a bit different than like a 90-year-old frail lady with dementia and like osteoporosis. So once you've done that, next you want to sort of comment on the pathology, which is usually a fracture. Having basic vocabulary around fracture patterns is really helpful. So you could talk about whether this is a transverse, oblique, spiral, or comminuted fracture. You can comment on the displacement, and then you always want to ask for a second view. So in Ortho Rounds, they usually just show you one view and the fracture won't be as obvious. But then if you ask for a second view, which is usually orthogonal to the first view, the fracture becomes like quite a bit more pronounced and you can comment more on like the 3D orientation of the fracture. Good morning, just heading to round on all of the ortho patients. Luckily, ortho rounding is very straightforward. When we round on orthopedics, we're mostly concerned that the patient is weight bearing and making sure that they're mobile, and then ruling out red flags such as a PE, DVT, or compartment syndrome. In orthopedics, we don't worry so much about electrolyte imbalances or medical conditions that the patient has, such as AFib or COPD. Not that these aren't concerning, but it's more that internal med looks after that, so that the orthopedic surgeons can just kind of focus on the surgeries. So we did a hip replacement today, and you have to do so much lifting and manipulating the person's leg. And I kid you not, you guys, legs are so heavy and my arms are like, they're so weak. They're literally like spaghetti noodles. I was struggling hardcore. So this is basically what it's like to be in an orthopedic OR. There's a lot of bones and drills. There's some hammers, you know, hammering the bones. I don't know what this is. It's a good time. So I'm in the OR for orthopedics today, and the awesome thing about today is the entire surgical team is female. The orthopedic surgeon, all of the nurses, the anesthesiologist, all female. So it's really cool to see that in action, because I feel like orthopedics is one of those specialties that still has a male predominance, and the vibe I just get from the specialty in general is like testosterone, because it's all these like really tall, muscular orthopedic surgeons hammering away using power tools. So it's definitely refreshing to see a female in that role. So this is the lead we have to wear. It's very heavy. Alright, so I'm heading home for the day. We just spent the afternoon practicing casting each other, which was a lot of fun. We just went over the different types of fractures and how you can splint them and cast them. So I think it'll be pretty useful for my emerge shift, because a lot of emergency doctors actually do the initial casting when you come in with a break. Alrighty, I'm leaving. Tomorrow is my last day at ortho. So I just scrubbed out. We finished the last case that was on the slate for orthopedics today, and I realized I scrubbed out for the last time. I'm done surgery. There's no more surgical things after this. So the audio from this clip was suboptimal, but basically I was saying that I think surgery is amazing in terms of what you can do for patients, and I think orthopedics really exemplifies this, because patients have so much loss of mobility before surgery, and then with appropriate rehab after surgery, their life can be completely different in terms of how independent they're able to be and just how mobile they're able to be. I clearly have way too much time on my hands because, you know, I made this bone. Side note about the bone, I posted this to my Instagram story being like, hey guys, what does this look like? And apparently it looked like a maxi pad, which is hilarious. But I'm glad we revised the bone before incorporating it into this video. And then I found these old drapes, put a blanket under to make it look like, I don't know, a body. Dressed up my kidney as my surgical assist. Grabbed all these tools and got dressed up just to film that segment. So I hope you appreciate. Wow, I am the coolest person ever. Alrighty, this is the end of the vlog. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!